Hello and welcome to the show. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any podcast player of your choice. So, subscribe for free once you're done listening to this episode and give me a 5-star review because no one has given me 4 stars yet. Today on the show, we're going to have another audience question. It's another one from Tafadza Denga. Sorry for mispronouncing your name. You've been listening to the show for a while. You know that this is the second question that we're tackling from this individual. Unfortunately, I didn't get his sex. Don't know if this is a guy or a girl. But anyway, that is immaterial to the question that we're going to be answering today. And the question is, when engaging in personal selling, how much importance should you put into your personal branding? Now, before we answer the question, it's going to help if we define some terms, just so that we take everyone else along. Because not everybody has been listening for the past 3 years that this has been up and running, and not everyone has listened to the over 715 episodes that we have so far. So if this is your first time of listening to the show, personal selling is not selling yourself. Rather, personal selling is when you engage personally in one-on-one communications with someone else, someone on the other end of the table, the other end of the email, the other end of the negotiating table, the other end of the whatever. You're engaging with another party and you have a goal of aligning their interests with yours. Now, this is a podcast about sales, and so you're going to wonder, what's all this talk about aligning interests? What is that and how is that relevant? Well, I talk about aligning interests because, even though this is a sales podcast, you cannot have any sales unless the underlying interests, the underlying missions, the underlying goals, the underlying incentives, etc. You can't do that until everything is aligned. So when you're in a sales conversation, you're trying to get the person to buy your baby pajamas because that's what you sell, or your baby food, or you're trying to negotiate with someone in a business context. You're trying to get 15% off, or you're trying to get them to accept this term or vary that other term. You're not going to make any progress unless the interests are aligned, the missions are aligned, the goals are aligned, the incentives are aligned, all else being equal. Of course, let's ignore the balance of power for now, because there are situations where someone is genuinely more powerful than the other party, and you can force them to do whatever it is that you want to do. But we are going to ignore those sorts of situations for now. We're going to assume that everything is equal, we're all equal here, and there's no rough housing and there's no rough play. So that is why aligning interests becomes important when we are in a selling context, a persuasive context, a negotiating context, or whatever context that you want to call it. Okay, where was I? Okay, yes, aligning interests. So another reason why that is important, all things being equal, is because if we are not aligned on all these things and then we push for a sale, because there are people who do that, you think you're flashy, you think you can communicate, you think you are persuasive, and so because of that, you get somebody to buy something that they otherwise wouldn't have bought. Okay, let's go back to the first example that I gave, that's selling your Christmas pajamas. And yes, for those of you who've been listening for a while, you know why. But for those of you who are new, it's because this is that time of the year where my wife is buying Christmas pajamas so that we have fun and interesting stuff to wear over the holidays. Well, for the kids anyway, interesting pajamas for them. So if you do sell children's pajamas, Christmas themed, you have some Christmas themed ones, and you don't do a good job of making sure that the interests, are aligned, and then you push for mommy to buy a particular pajamas, and then the pajama arrives, and then she opens it up. The options that you're going to be left with are buyer's regret or buyer's remorse. Now, they're both similar. The difference is just that in one context, the lady opens up the pajamas and she's like, why did I buy this thing? I'm angry. This lady made me buy what I didn't want to buy. And then in another one, she opens it up and she's like, why did I buy this thing? I'm angry at myself for wasting 15, 20, 30, however how much thousands of naira that you use to buy the pajamas. Now, in either case, when you're left with buyer's regret or buyer's remorse, there is no chance of getting repeat business or referrals. So the lady who feels like she's been hoodwinked into buying pajamas that she didn't want, that she didn't need in the first place, this is what is going to happen. She is not going to get in touch with you later on to buy anything because she doesn't want you to smooth talk her into buying something else that she doesn't want or that she doesn't need. Or maybe she doesn't trust herself that she's going to be able to make the right choice. After all, the economy is real tough right now, so she doesn't want to waste any money. So, aligning interests really, really important when we're looking at personal selling, because if we do not, get that part of the matrix good, we're left with buyer's regret and buyer's remorse, and that means no repeat business. It means no referrals. Now, the reason why these are important in traditional sales theory and practice is because repeat business and repeat referrals are the goal. They are the endpoint. Now, novices and people who don't know what's up, they typically talk about closing the sale. And yes, you do close a sale. But actually, old school salespeople, traditional sales school people like myself, we think of opening relationships, because yes, you're closing a sale, but it's more like opening up a relationship, because the act of selling itself is hard. Waking up every day, going to look for people to talk to, chasing people up and down, follow up, follow through, phone call, email, WhatsApp, all that is hard. So, professional salespeople actually want to reduce the amount of time that they spend selling so that they can maximize lifetime value. So, they don't want to run around chasing people all day. And for the people who already buy, they want to make sure that they're getting the most out of the relationship. Well, of course, they're going to give so into the relationship as much as possible so that they can extract value at the other end from existing relationships. So, forgive me for that detour, but I just wanted to stress the point that when I talk about personal selling, or you come across another sales expert who's talking about personal selling, if the person is talking about alignment of interests, alignment of mission, vision, goals, whatever it is that they want to call it, all of that is not just theory, but is absolutely essential to the goal of selling. Because if you get this wrong, you have someone on the other end who is absolutely miffed. The person is absolutely angry. That person is not going to come back to do business with you again, and you're giving yourself plenty of headache, because that now means you have to wake up on Monday, look for a new person to sell to. Tuesday, look for a new person to sell to. Next week, next month, you get the whole point. But rather, what we should be trying to do is open relationships with people today, so that next month they buy, 2 months they buy, 6 months down the line they buy again, and we have repeatable purchases, sustainable income that we can bank on. It reduces the pressure to wake up every day and sell to somebody today, tomorrow, and the day after. So that's with the definition of personal selling and all the related items that go with that. Now, for personal branding, that's a difficult one to define, and just like I do here on the podcast, I am not going to go into any different definitions that are out there, because it doesn't matter what definition I give here, you are going to disagree, or even if you agree, some other person is going to disagree. But there is one thing that all these definitions have in common, and what they have in common is this: personal branding involves how you are perceived by other people. Now, however, one thing that some people fail to consider is this. It's not just about the perception, how you are perceived by other people, but the main question is that perception incongruence, with how you want to be perceived? People thinking about you one way is one thing, but if that was your goal all along, if you want people to perceive you a certain way, then, that is the cocoa. That's the main thing. So it's not just what people think of you, but you want to be sure that what people think of you aligns with what you wanted them to think in the first place. Because it's possible that you want to be perceived as someone who is charismatic, but then people out there think you are self-serving. Now, in that case, there's a failure in personal branding. So, personal branding, different definitions, the thing that they have in common, how you are perceived by other people, but the most important thing is not just how people perceive you, but you also have to consider the question, how do you want to be perceived? And then those two factors, are they in congruence? Are they working together? How people perceive you and how you want to be perceived. So, is personal branding important in sales? The answer is yes, but in a limited sense. Because traditionally in sales, we are not focused on ourselves. The salesperson is not focused on, me. How am I What's my branding? What's my positioning? What's my sense of style? What's my this? What's my that? Traditionally, it's not about me. Traditionally, we are customer focused, we are customer centric, we pay attention to the customer, and we have less attention paid to ourselves. So, the traditional extent to which a salesperson is going to pay attention to themselves is usually limited to a number of things. Number one, appearance. So, yes, I am paying more attention to the customer, but appearance, the salesperson recognizes that this has to be contextual and it has to be relative to what it is that the customer or the industry expects. The goal is we are trying to appear, what's that word? Appropriate, yes. We want our appearance to be appropriate. And appropriate depends on the context, depends on the customer, depends on the industry. So for the doctor, what is appropriate is that you show up with those white garments. Sorry, not garments, what are they called? White robes. Robes, right? Let's just go with robes. I'm not sure what it's called. So you show up with the white robes, and I don't know why they have to be white, because I remember in the United Kingdom, I think it was blue. I think doctors would wear blue robes or something. Anyway, so whether you are in America or in the UK or in Nigeria, so whether it's a white robe or a blue robe, I mean, you get my point. In one country, it's white. In another country, it's blue. But either way, it depends on the customer, depends on the context, depends on the industry. We're trying to appear appropriately dressed. The architect, on the other hand, I assume, can show up in maybe a formal shirt with the sleeves rolled up, and maybe he or she is wearing jeans, jeans trousers, jeans skirt, or whatever. So the architect can get away with that. If a doctor shows up that way, you're thinking, is this doctor that serious? But then the celebrity photographer, on the other hand, because of the difference in the context, the industry, and the customer, the celebrity photographer can show up with dreadlocks that are dyed yellow and green and brown, with torn jeans, and maybe wearing a singlet. So that is appropriate in that given context. So it depends. If a doctor shows up dressed like a celebrity photographer, you would think this guy is not serious. But actually, it's possible that the guy may have graduated first class in his own class, and actually is the best doctor in the country, but he's not going to, or she is not going to inspire any confidence in you. So the salesperson is thinking, I have to be dressed appropriately. Then number two, there's the matter of tone of voice and speech and things like that. The traditional salesperson is trying to be respectful. Again, respectful is relative to the context that you are in. So it's not about excessively deferring or showing that the other person is your superior or whatever. You should be trying to go for, what's that word? The tone should be one of mutual, what will I say, mutual respect, mutual worth, mutual value. Although there are some times that people do the excessive difference thing, especially here in Nigeria. You're faced with a big man, an oga or a madam, and then, the excessive kowtowing and bowing and praise singing and stuff like that. So it all depends. But we're all trying to be respectful. These are some of the things that we're trying to juggle in a traditional sales. That's what a traditional salesperson is trying to juggle. Of course, we're not supposed to use too many esoteric terms. Use terms that the person understands. Back when this podcast was devoted to people in the wedding and the event space, is something I spoke about time and time again. Wedding photographers, stop showing up talking to brides about f-stops. The bride does not know the difference between an f-stop or a bus stop, except if the bride is interested in photography. So stop talking about those sorts of things. And the same thing with wedding planners, with different terms and whatnot. Speak in terms that people can understand. You need to be easy and use easy and relatable language. And then traditionally, salespeople try to be consultative. And what that means is they're trying to figure out the client. Who am I talking to? They're trying to figure out the parameters of the problem. They're trying to figure out the vision that the client is working towards. And that is what allows you to now map out how your product or your service relates to the situation at hand. Now, this is important because that's what's going to be able to make you, allow you to make an effective presentation or an effective pitch. Let's go back to my people in the wedding and the event space. So, if you're a wedding planner, you have to be consultative. You come there and you try and figure out, who is this couple that I'm sitting down with? Are they upscale? Are they salt of the earth? or are they, okay, no, let me leave it there. I don't want to use any terms that are offensive. So, yes, are they salt of the earth or are they upscale people? And then what is the vision that they have? Do they want to be uber sophisticated or do they want to be practical? Then what's the goal? Do they want to be featured on all the top wedding blogs and things like that, or are they trying to keep things private? Then are they trying to be cosmopolitan or are they trying to be rustic? Yeah, these are the things that you have to, they're trying to figure out. Because at the end of the day, that is what is going to allow you to make a sales presentation to say that, you know what, for your wedding, I'm thinking we should try idea A, B, and possibly C. For idea A, this would be the cost implications. For B, this would be the cost implications. For C, this would be the cost implications. What are you most interested in? If you do not take the time out to be consultative and get all the information that you need, you might come up with options A, B, and C. And it's possible that A, B, and C are nothing even close to what the bride or the bride's momsy or the groom's side of the family is even interested in. I've seen a situation like that. It's something that I spoke about in the very first set of sales trainings that I did, because they used to be for people who are in the event space, wedding planners in particular. And there was that situation where I was sitting as a wedding photographer at the, I can't remember what these meetings are called anymore, the one where all the vendors sit together with some family members. And this lady was going on and on about, fancy option menus and things like that. But she didn't key into the fact that the mother of the bride was talking about, what's this thing? Abacha. Abacha is, it's a meal, Abacha is a meal, what will I say? More like eastern part of the country. Igbo people, it's cassava, sort of like cassava flakes, sometimes served with garden eggs and with palm oil and what else, some spices and things like that. Then with some meat by the side, asun, goat meat and things like that. So the mother of the bride is talking about abacha and all these sorts of things, and then you have the wedding planner who is talking about all these high-looking ideas about 3-course this and 5-course that. You need to take a consultative approach, because if you're sitting down there, and even though you personally prefer continental cuisine, if the bride is talking about abacha, her mom is talking about ogiri and uba, and the father is talking about asun, then you better switch your pitch or switch your presentation. This whole thing about 3-course this and all whatnot and chocolate fountain is not going to work. Yes, these people might have all the money in the world, and yes, they were a very wealthy family, but talking all that fancy stuff is not going to cut it. So yes, they're wealthy, they have the money, they can afford chocolate fountain, but take a consultative approach. Figure out who these people are. If these people are talking abacha and talking asun, then it's a different crowd. Ditch the chocolate fountain, ditch the 5 courses. So it's the same thing no matter whatever you sell, whether you sell consulting services, pajamas, or whatever you do. Take a consultative approach, try and figure out who am I having a conversation with, and then you're going to be able to make an effective sales pitch. Now, summary. Traditionally, a salesperson is just trying to be professional. That is everything that I have described so far. You're just trying to be professional. So long as you meet these key traditional criteria, the rest of your personal brand is up to you. And the good news is up to who you authentically are. So, the kind of clothes you wear, your hairstyle, your manner of speech, your interests, your hobbies, whether you use perfume or you don't, because I don't use perfume, although my wife has insisted that I should. I don't use jewelry, apart from my watch, my cheap watches. Okay, well, maybe not cheap, because I have a Garmin, but I wear plastic wristwatches only. So Garmin, Casio, those sorts of things. Your educational background, your religion, your voter habits, your whatever, all of this does not matter so long as you are professional. So my video guy, Shagun, sometimes we handle sales meetings together, especially on the wedding space, or sometimes in the corporate event space. So Shagun is flashy. He's going to show up dressed like a senator. He's going to have that tag, that thing, that like a handkerchief, or that thing that sticks out of your pocket. Then that golden pin with the fancy wristwatch. Shagun uses perfume. He cuts his hair every week. So I think it's every Sunday, Shagun cuts his hair. So he cuts his hair, goes for a lining, shaves the beard, everything tight. Me, I cut my hair once a month. So, but both of us are effective salespeople. So Your personal branding doesn't really matter. I mean, it's left to you. So if you want to be a Shagun, dress like a senator, iron everything, solid creases, the pocket hanky, the golden tag, the solid wristwatches, your haircut every week, what else? Good perfume from Italy, whatever. You can be an effective salesperson. But then if you're going to be like me, haircut only once a month. I do brush my teeth. And of course, I have my bath twice a day, so I don't stink. Although my wife says I have the fashion style of a Ghanaian school teacher. No offense to those of you who are Ghanaian school teachers. But anyway, so you can have the fashion sense of a Ghanaian school teacher and still be an effective salesperson or an effective business person. And you can be on the other flashy end and you can still make it happen. So whether your personal brand is garish or over the top, it doesn't matter. Whether your personal brand is self-effacing, it doesn't matter. Loud people can sell, quiet people can sell, flashy people can sell, people without any sense of personal style can sell, and that includes people like me. So, in a sense, it matters. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Let me just put it that way. But of course, I'm working on the assumption that you're a normal person, that you don't have, your clothes are not torn, you don't have BO, body odor, and all those sorts of things. So it would help if you can move from one end of the spectrum to another. It's possible that for someone like Shegun, there might be situations where him toning down might help and make him more relatable. And then, of course, there are times when for someone like me toning up might make me more effective. Maybe like if I cut my hair every week, for instance, and I make sure that my beard is trimmed every week. But I'm not a hairy fellow, so I really don't think that's necessary. So if you move from one end of the spectrum to another, it would help. But if you don't, it is not going to destroy your ability to sell effectively. So whatever the personal brand that you try to project, the aim, the goal is to be professional. So long as you meet that professional standards, you're doing okay. So does everyone need to have a personal brand? It depends. But does everyone have a personal brand? The answer is yes. The reason why everyone has a personal brand, whether you're a Shegun and you're sharp, or whether you're a Tabishima and you're salt of the earth, the thing is, however it is you try to present yourself, your audience, people already have ideas about you and they already have perceptions about you. So there are ways that people perceive Shegun and there are ways that people perceive Tabishima. So in that sense, we have a personal brand, whether we try to craft one like Shegun does, or whether your personal brand is by default, like mine is. So should you be paying attention to your personal brand when you sell? If you do, that would be nice. But if you don't pay conscious attention to your personal brand, it's not going to be suicidal to your business, so long as you are professional and so long as you are customer focused. And so that should be the watchword. But beyond that, there's leeway. You want to be a sharp Shegun, that's good. If you want to be a salt of the earth Tabishima, that's also fine as well. So professionalism and customer centricity will always keep you in line with your personal brand values and also business brand values that help you grow your bottom line, that help you grow your profits. So that's all for today, folks. If you're trying to figure out your personal sense of style as it relates to having business conversations, or you're worried if you have the right personal brand in the right business context, then hit me up on 080-6466-2140 so we can tease out all the issues and come up with a plan for selling and having business conversations in a way that feels congruent and authentic to you and how you want to project yourself. So you can call, SMS, WhatsApp, or Telegram with the number that I have given. Also, you can connect with me on LinkedIn or your social media of choice. My name is Tabishima Ayede. You can confirm the spelling of my name, email address on the website where you're listening to this episode or the podcast app where you're listening to my voice. So thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next episode.